All right. I think we're live. Let's see. Are we too dark? No, I think it's okay. Hopefully it's okay. If it's too dark, you guys let me know. Let's get on with this real quick here. Oh, you got to be kidding me. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Give me a minute here. Hang on. Okay, you hear me. Give me a minute here. I'm trying to fix the camera. I don't know what happened there. How about now? I think we're good now. I think we're going again. Good grief. I have more problems with this thing. I need to get a better setup. All right, so let's get into this. Again, this is a weekly live broadcast, most Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central. I am here. The only thing I ask you guys, be polite, be family friendly. Do not start cussing. Do not start calling people names. Don't be hateful. Any of those things, we'll have to kick you out. But other than that, it's just an Ask Me Anything session. So we've got a bunch of people in here and a whole bunch of comments. So let me jump into it real quick. There's Brady. Says, God bless from our homestead in Maine. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Hello to you, Dr. Graced and Grateful. Whiskey Tango Farms is here. Good evening, Chris and everyone. Winter's definitely coming up here in Wisconsin. Yeah, it's supposed to get chilly this weekend, but it was like, I don't know. It was gloomy and rainy all day today, but it got up to like 78 degrees, so it wasn't really wintertime weather. It was just gloomy and rainy. But anyway. All right, Dr. Graced says, so excited about the 10 hens and 2 roos that we got last Saturday. We'll need a better setup and supplies, but we're giving them great care. We're trying to spoil them each day with fresh leaved branches woven into the side of their cage, fresh sand with DE in a tub each day, and they love it. Fresh water 2 times a day and plenty of food. We've been researching Coturnix quail for over a year, and a lot about quail at this channel, thanks to Living Traditions for sending us here. I love those guys at Living Traditions. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Sounds like you got a pretty nice setup. I would caution you maybe about using DE too much. It can cause respiratory issues in birds and things like that, so you may want to lay off that just a little bit, but sounds like other than that, you've got a fantastic thing going. And don't take my word on it. If you want to keep using DE, I mean, it's up to you. It's just my opinion on that. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Let's put it that way. Hello to you, McLeod Family Farm. I had to think about that for a minute, and then I remembered there can be only one. So that's how I remembered that. It's McLeod, not MacLeod or anything like that. All right. All right. Who's that? Jasmine, good to see you. Katrina, hello from Gilroy, California. Katrina says, this past weekend, tortellini and meatball had dates with Parmesan. And so, hang on, I got a text coming in. Make sure it's not important. It can wait. And so I expect we'll be seeing baby rabbits in a few weeks. I plan to set up a date for Ziti in a couple more weeks as well. So all Italian food names for your rabbits, huh? Well, good luck with that. I hope it all works out well. Jasmine says, making quail for dinner, serving with homemade garlic sauce, cream sauce, goat cheese ravioli, and steamed veggies. Boy, that sounds good. I hope it is good. I'm betting it is. It sounds fantastic. Let's see. Whiskey Tango. They've got a bunch of people talking to each other. Roe says, hello all. Currently 68 degrees in Ontario. Still summer. Yeah, 68 degrees is still pretty warm for sure. Jasmine, how long did you pressure cook and how many? To Katrina. What did Katrina say? I have 2 quail left over from Tuesday that were pressure cooked. Probably got to make something with them tonight. Pressure cooked, huh? I don't know if that's a good question. We'll find out what she says. Pressure cooking quail almost seems like overkill to me, but maybe it works well. I don't know. They cook so fast anyway. I just don't know that pressure cooking, who knows? See how it goes. You did 16 minutes for 4 birds. Okay, interesting. Jesse Mills, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you, Jesse. Whiskey Tango Farm says, you're so lucky it's 60 here, and we have some low 40s coming up. Yeah, well, I mean, we'd have basically the same thing here. It's supposed to get down possibly to 30 degrees on Sunday morning, I think. And it's been getting down in the low 50s, high 40s at night, up to about the mid 70s. We had about 85 the other day. But it's still, I mean, it's definitely coming. Cooler weather is coming. All right. Rose says expecting cold weather next week. Yeah, we are too. Sorry. Making sure nothing's coming through that's super urgent. Okay, now we're getting to the part where I lost my connection. Everybody's telling me we're back. I'm going to skip through all that kind of stuff. Hello to you, Moon Outdoors. Yeah, I gotta love tech, says Ed Got Bait. Yeah, no kidding. Jasmine says, give Chris a like. Thank you very much for that, Jasmine. I appreciate it. Jennifer, how many chicks can you have in a brooder with a 10x10 heating plate? A 10x10 heating plate. Boy, I don't know. That's a good question. I've never used a heating plate, so it's hard for me to say, but a 10x10, I assume that's 10 inch by 10 inch. So if you're talking day-old chicks, you should be able to get, I'm trying to do math in my head, how many square feet that is. 10 by 10 is 100 divided by 12 is like 9 square feet, something like, is that right? 9 point something square feet. So you should be able to fit in about 3 to 4 per square feet, I would say, until they don't need the heat plate. So I don't know, 30-ish sounds about right. That's a guess. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do all that in my head. It's hard for me to do. James says, oh, wait. Ed says, question, have you tried water glassing eggs? No, I have never tried water glassing eggs. I've heard of it. I'm familiar with it, but I've never tried it myself. James says, hi from Maryland. Just can't stay away. Thanks for joining. Robert says, I've been meaning to ask you, with the really cold snap you had last winter, did it affect the bug pressure in the garden and the mosquitoes? No, not really. I don't ever notice that. Everybody says that, cold winter, we're going to have less bugs. I don't ever notice that. It doesn't seem to make a big impact on them one way or the other. I was just outside talking to my neighbor a few minutes ago, and you see me scratching my arm because I don't know if that shows up on film, but I got a mosquito bite right there. So the mosquitoes have been particularly bad the past several days. But no, it didn't seem to affect the bugs much at all. Katrina says, weather got cooler pretty quick and my rabbits are eating more. 2 questions. How much more do yours eat in cool weather? And 2, how much more might they eat when pregnant? Good question. I don't notice them picking up their eating when they're pregnant. Not really much anyway. If they do, it's just a little bit. I do notice that when the cooler weather comes on, they're more active and they do tend to eat a little bit more. But when I say a little bit more, I feed them typically around an 8-ounce cup, I think it is, per day. And they might eat that much more of that cup every day. It's not a huge amount more, but they definitely clean it all up every day. Whereas in the summertime, sometimes they don't clean up all their pellets in one day, and I have to feed them just a little bit less the next day. But so yeah, it is a little bit more. It's not a huge amount more though. Dooley's Michigan Homestead says, thank you for sharing and thanks for supporting my family. Well, you're absolutely welcome. Thank you for watching the videos. McLeod likes my joke, huh? Helen says, hey guys from Australia, just put new sugarcane mulch in my quail pens this morning, and happy quail. I bet they are. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm just curious how many people understand my reference when I'm talking about McLeod Family Farm, and I say there can be only one. I don't know how many people actually get that, know where that comes from. But anyway, who's that? Everyday Oil says, hello from Sacramento, California. Jay Moore, and hello to you too, by the way. Jay Moore, getting lots of 70s in Michigan, but getting ready to cool off after the rain starting. Oh boy, I scrolled and I lost it. There we go. Got quail in the brooder, need to go out and need to get ready to go out and more eggs in the incubator. Then done with that for the winter. Yeah, it's about time to probably wrap up the brooder incubating for the wintertime. I'm having a hard time talking today for some reason. Yeah, it's about time to wrap all that up for me too. Kind of the same kind of weather here. We've been getting 70s, high 70s, mid 80s. And then we had a storm come through, probably the same system that's affecting you guys, I'm guessing. It looked like it was pretty big, pretty widespread. And after that, we're going to be cooling off. So we're supposed to be getting pretty chilly in the next couple of days. Jay Moore says, can you pressure can them just like chicken? I'm assuming you're talking about quail, and I think you could probably. I don't know. I've never tried pressure canning. I don't know. Pressure canning meat is just a weird thing to me. It's just a weird thought. Canned meat in general is kind of a weird thought to me, so I don't do it. I just freeze them. So I'm not I'm not the expert on pressure canning any kind of meat, but I would think they'd be just about the same as chicken. That'd be, I don't see why not, but check an approved recipe or something like that first. All right, Sage Wolf says, same here. I'm cooking 2 of my quail. I am using sweet barbecue dry rub, and it's delicious. I bet it is. Sounds great. Good evening to you, Tom Parker. He says good evening to everyone else too. Who's that? Old BD1 from Southern California. Good to see you. Errol says, hey everyone, would any of you feel that a pure copper reservoir dispenser and copper piping be a problem for quail health? I don't know why it would be. I don't see any reason. I'm trying to think. Is there any? I can't think of a reason why copper would be a copper reservoir or copper piping would be any kind of an issue for their health. Maybe there's something I don't know about it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Feed yourself with Doug in the Suburbs. That's a great name. Says, hey, Helen Bradley, where are you in Australia? I'm in Brisbane and use rice hulls for my quail bedding. There you go. Whiskey Tango Farm says it's going to be a low of 38 tonight and a low of 35 on Saturday. Yeah, you're definitely a little chillier than we are, but not a lot. Maybe 5-6 degrees, I think, for the low. Maybe 10 degrees tonight. It's probably not going to be that cold tonight. It's probably going to be 50-ish degrees tonight. Anyway, Bradley says, I water glass eggs. Bradley also says, I have a full 5-gallon bucket of fresh eggs. There you go, Ed. Ed says to Whiskey Tango Farms, glad that's your temperature. And his burr. Yeah, it's coming, though. It's coming for everybody. McLeod's Family Farm says, speaking of water glassing, I currently have about 60 chicken eggs in a 5-gallon bucket, and I started looking into quail because I want to water glass those as well. I think they would make neat gifts. Interesting. Owen asks how you're doing. I'm doing well, Owen. Hopefully you are too. It's been a busy week, but getting a little bit of a break. Tomorrow we have a half a day of work. So I'm an account manager for a call center, and I have a co-account manager. Him and I are both account management on this one client, and he's been out all week on a client visit. I stayed back and manned the fort. So it's been a little bit busier than normal, but he's back in the office tomorrow. I'm only working half a day because my cousin's getting married and I'm going to be the photographer for the wedding. So get a little bit of a break from work, but then get to go be busy being a photographer for a wedding, which if you've never done is actually quite a bit of work, more work than you would think, but that's okay. Ed says, McLeod, cool. I'm thinking about doing it. G. Michael says, thumbs up, folks. Let's do it for Chris. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Brady is selling a 42-egg hoverbaiter. Anybody want a 42-egg hoverbaiter? Well, sounds like Brady's got one for sale. I don't know how much, but he's in the chat here, so hit him up if you're in the market and see what you can work out. Katrina says, made my second sale of quail eggs today. A friend bought 16 quail eggs and 3 chicken eggs. She read on Facebook I was selling them and wanted to buy some. Awesome. That's fantastic. I tried to sell some quail eggs on Facebook and got my ad removed. They marked it as like animal, they don't allow you to sell animals on Facebook. So I don't know. Maybe you didn't actually put them in an ad. Maybe you just talked about it in a post and made it through, but good. Congratulations. Jay Moore says canned meat is good. Yep. Yeah. McLeod knows where that's from. Yeah. Highlander. I knew you did. I mean, you're the only one, though. It looks like nobody else gets it. Highlander is probably the best movie ever, right? Anyone knows where that's from? Highlander is probably the best movie ever. I don't do a very good impression, but anyway, you get it. I don't know how many people have seen that movie. I have fond memories of that movie. The first time I think I ever saw that movie, I was like, it was right when it came out, and I don't think it went to theaters. It went right to like HBO, and I was home by myself. I was probably 11, 12 years old, maybe. And I was just watching, TV, flipping through the channels. We had just gotten cable, and it was exciting because we had more than 3 channels. And I flipped through, and HBO came on, and this movie Highlander comes on, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what to expect. And I sat there just as a 12-year-old kid, just mesmerized by that movie. Thought, this is the best movie ever. So, yeah, it's always held a special place in my heart. Just the first one, though. The rest of them were junk. Anyway, Whiskey Dingo Farm says canned meat would be good for tacos. Yeah, I bet it would. It's just my own little hang up on canned meat. It's just something I never did. So when I think of canned meat, I think of like Spam, and that's just not good. So it's just a hang up on my part. I'm sure it's fine. Katrina says you can pressure can any poultry under the chicken instructions noted on the National Center for Home Food Preservation. Home Food Preservation. There we go. Look up their website for a lot of good information. I agree. That is a fantastic resource. And I think you're probably right on that, Katrina. I don't doubt it at all. I wouldn't see why any poultry would be any different than chicken. So it should work. Now, you may not be able to find specific canning instructions for quail, but I bet you could find specific canning instructions for dove, and it's pretty much the same thing. So, and like Katrina says, I don't see why it'd be any different than chicken. So I think you'd probably be safe using instructions for canning chicken. Jupiter says, just stopped stopping by to say hi and leaving my thumbs up. Well, thank you, Jupiter. I appreciate that. Verna, good evening to you, Verna. Says, good evening, everyone. Was taking care of the business with a customer. Glad I made it. We're glad you made it, too. Thanks for joining. Dewan, I think it's Dewan McIntyre. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. Says, when to start breeding rabbits. Well, you must not have seen my video from this week because that's exactly what that topic was about. That's okay, though. I'm just giving you a hard time. Yeah, it's a good time to start. I mean, I don't know where you live. I don't know what your climate is exactly, but I breed my I breed my rabbits in the winter, in the fall, and early spring before it gets hot in summer. Now, depending on where you live, if you live in the Arctic North, you can probably breed more in the summertime and maybe lay off in the winter because it gets so cold there. But at the same time, rabbits do really, really well in the wintertime, and I have no issues with losing babies. Now, I'm in Southwest Missouri, and we don't get super cold, but we do get down below zero on a fairly regular basis, and I've never had any issues. As long as the rabbit has her babies in the nest box, I have no issues with that. Now, what I have had issues with is in the summertime when it's 80 degrees out, because we get 80, 90, 105 degree heat indexes, and when it gets that hot, I've lost litters of rabbits from the heat. So I don't breed in the summertime. It's just too hot for them. So to answer your question, I started breeding this week. I could have probably started last week or the week before because I know in the next 2-3 weeks, it's going to be wintertime or fall anyway. The summertime temperatures are gone. We're going to be getting down in the 40s. We already are getting down in the 40s at night. The days are only getting up to 75 or 80. And that's starting to drop a little bit. So pretty soon we'll be up in the 60s and 70s as average highs. It's not, going to be nearly as hot. So it's a good time to go ahead and start breeding. Again, I don't know exactly where you're at. So your climate's maybe a little bit different, but hopefully that kind of gives you an idea and answers your question. Brady says, I have 56 chickens. Well, that's a lot of chickens. Ed says, McLeod, yeah, from what I've seen, it is water, lime, and eggs in a glass jar or a plastic bucket. Interesting for water glassing eggs. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Got a couple people talking to each other. I'll skip those. Brady says, I had more in the spring. I don't know what that. Oh, you had more chickens in the spring. Yeah, that's a lot of chickens for sure. Let's see. Mary says my incubators never got turned off. I'm always adding eggs on Fridays. I have quail, chickens, and guineas in now. We'll be adding more quail tomorrow. Wow, that keeps you pretty busy, I'm sure. Jay Morris says I got a coop heater for the young ones. It's outside the cage and should keep water flowing when freezing too on a shelf by the water bucket. So the young birds, I guess, is what you're saying. You got a coop heater for the young birds. Yeah, it might. I mean, if it's in a shed, I don't know. Yeah, if they're contained in a shed and you've got a heater going in there, that should keep water from freezing. If it's outside, I don't know that it will. It may keep it from freezing in the bucket, but I'd be highly doubtful about it freezing at the nipple, the whatever part where the water comes out. Right there is where it's going to freeze probably. That stuff, I mean, it's just such a little amount of water there. It doesn't take much to get it to freeze, but you never know. Let's see. Oh, I scrolled too far again. Verna says, hey, Chris, I need your quail recipes. Going to put a quail cookbook together for next year. Interesting. Well, that's a tough one. I don't have a whole bunch of them. I just cook it like I do chicken. Cook it, just a lot of recipes that are chicken recipes, chicken fajitas, use quail in its place. Let's see, what else? Enchiladas. I've done that with quail and used quail in the place of chicken. One of my favorites is probably to cut the meat off the the bone, the breast meat, and you end up with 2 halves, and then stuff them with like blue cheese or cheddar cheese, wrap them with bacon, brush them with like Frank's Red Hot or barbecue sauce, and grill those until the bacon's done, or bake them until the bacon's done. That's really good. Quail with stuffing is pretty good. So just like even stovetop stuffing for that matter, and just maybe season it up with whatever herbs you like with poultry, rosemary, thyme, parsley, that kind of stuff. Season it up, lots of butter to give it some fat, and bake that until it's done with a little bit of, got a bug flying around again, a little bit of stovetop stuffing or whatever you like. Those are always good too. All right, Katrina says, I just put on Facebook a post that I had sold some and had some left over. Didn't do Facebook Marketplace or anything. Yeah, that probably makes sense. Rose says, old movie, talking about Highlander. Yeah, it is an old movie, but it was a great movie when it came out. I still think it's a great movie. I own it, actually. It's one of the only movies I actually own, and every once in a while I put it in and play it. My wife just rolls her eyes. She doesn't get it. Yep, there can be only one. Let's see. Bradley says, they keep putting me on Facebook jail for selling chickens, rabbits, veggies, and eggs. Yeah, it's against their policies. Whether you like it or not, you are using their platform. You have to abide by their policies, unfortunately. I do find, selling on Craigslist is pretty good for farm animals and stuff. I don't find it works well for a whole lot of other things, but people looking for animals and eggs and, that kind of stuff, veggies, all that kind of stuff, tend to go to Craigslist to do that because they know Facebook doesn't allow it. Facebook Marketplace is great for selling just about anything else you have, but not animals, vegetables, any of that kind of stuff. I thought you could sell vegetables, though, on Facebook. I may be wrong about that. Anyway, Nikki says, hey, all. Hope everyone is having a great day. Love Highlander. See, I'm not the only one. Highlander was great. It's a fantastic movie. Sage Wolf says, in the end, there could be only one. Yep. Katrina says, Chris, I bet if someone made something for you with canned meat, you may not even know it was canned. It was home canned, much different than store-bought. Yeah, I bet you're right. You're probably right. Like I said, it's just my hang-up. I just don't can meat because it just seems kind of odd to me. But you're right. It's probably just fine, and I probably wouldn't know the difference. And I wouldn't, if somebody served me something, even if they told me it was canned meat, I'm not going to turn my nose up to it. I'll definitely try it. I'm not afraid to try anything. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I don't. I just do not like pineapple at all. And I know I'm a weirdo for that. Can't stand pineapple. But when I was going to the Dominican Republic for work, a year or so ago, a couple of years ago, I was going down there fairly regularly. They found out I didn't like pineapple, and they're like, oh, you got to try our pineapple. It's fresh pineapple. It's totally different. And that's what everybody has always told me. It's because you've never had fresh pineapple, and it's totally different. I'm like, okay, I'll try it. So I tried the pineapple, and it was probably the best pineapple I ever had, but I still didn't like it. But I tried it. I'm not afraid to try it. And, your taste buds change over time, too. So things that I didn't used to like, I now do like. And so I'm not afraid to, even though there's things I don't like, to go ahead and try it. Anyway, that's on a tangent. But Bill, hey, Chris. Hey, Bill. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Jay Moore says, pressure canned, I meant. I've done a bit of everything I've done a bit of everything and have those chicken wings that are hard to find or overpriced. I'm sorry, Jay Moore, you lost me on that one. I don't know if there was a typo in there or if that was a continuation of something else, but I'm not sure what you're talking about with the chicken wings that are hard to find and overpriced. Yeah, they are hard to find and overpriced for sure, but I'm not sure where that was going. Anyway, Jennifer says, we do a lot of outdoor trips. I'm going to try to can quail, deer, and wild turkey this year. That's a great idea. I mean, it makes sense to do it for sure. It makes it shelf stable. You don't have to freeze it. I get it. So Dewan says, I live in Jamaica. Well, I don't know what the climate is like in Jamaica, but it's pretty close to the equator, so I'm guessing it's pretty warm all the time. You probably don't have much of a difference between winter and summer, right? It's probably just pretty much the same temperature year round. In that case, just breed them whenever you want to. Those rabbits are probably pretty acclimated to the heat. It's not going to be a big deal. Whereas our rabbits here are I mean, we have a winter time, so the summertime's hard on them. They're not acclimated to it like your rabbits would be. Let's see. Bill says, we're super excited. Our last hatch of quail gave us 2 with white feathers. One is gin, other is a rooster. One's a hen, the other's a rooster. Guess who we are putting together this spring? The 2 with the white feathers, I'm guessing. So good luck, man. I hope it all works out. I'm sure you're going to get some good colors from them. Johnny says, hey, Chris, I really enjoy your video, and I'm thinking about getting some meat rabbits. Your informative videos are very good, and I've learned a lot from watching them. Well, thank you very much for the kind comments, and thank you for watching them. I appreciate that. James also, let's see, James, there we go. James Dahlheim says, Stormbergs has a 12 by 12 brooder heating element, a bit larger than a 10 by 10, and it's rated for 20 chicken chicks. Call it 25 to 30 quail chicks. 16 by 24 is rated for 50 chicken chicks. There you go. I was pretty close then. I said somewhere around 30 or 35. You could probably get away with a little bit more than what they say because, sorry, just checking again. Because, they do tend to err on the side of caution. But, yeah, that's pretty close. I think you could probably, with a 10 by 10, get away with 30 birds. Spike says, hey, brother, glad to be on one of your live videos. You seem to be the perfect neighbor. I love your videos on rabbits. Anyway, I wish you'll make a video on deworming rabbits. More power to you. Thank you very much, Spike, for the kind comments. First of all, I appreciate that. And I'm glad you're on one of my live videos too. Deworming rabbits. I never deworm my rabbits. I made a video on deworming quail. I'm sorry. I did talk a little bit about the rabbits in that video, but it wasn't dedicated to the rabbits. I should do a video specifically dedicated to that. If you're sure your rabbits have worms, and you want to worm them, then just go to a local feed store, farm supply store, ask them for whatever to worm your rabbits with. There's several different things you can worm rabbits with. Ivermectin is one of them. There's a lot of them. So I'm hesitant to say you want to worm them with this. What you're going to need to really do is probably find out what kind of worms they have and then get a wormer that's specific to them. Now, you can do that by getting a stool sample, taking it to a local vet. It won't cost you too much, or it shouldn't cost you too much to get a worm test done to verify if they have worms, and if they do, what kind of worms they have. You're probably looking at $20, $25, something like that. And then once you know what kind of worms they are, then you can get the specific wormer to get rid of those. Now, if you just want to do it as a preventative to keep them from getting worms, first of all, if you've got them in raised cages, your chances of getting worms are pretty low. The only time you're going to have to really worry about it is if they're in contact with the ground. If they are in contact with the ground and you want to worm them as a preventative measure, I would be cautious of doing that in meat rabbits, especially if it's meat rabbits I'm going to eat. I would rather eat a rabbit with worms than eat a rabbit that has wormer in its system. I know that doesn't sound right, but as long as you cook the meat, and most of the worms live in the intestinal tract and all that kind of stuff anyway, so it's not really a big deal for the meat. But even then, as long as you cook the meat well and you cook it thoroughly, there's no risk of you getting worms from your rabbits or any other meat for that matter. But, the wormer in the system is a little bit different. I don't think I'd want to eat that. But let's say you just want to worm your rabbits for whatever reason. Again, check a local farm supply store and check for just kind of a broad spectrum wormer. You're going to want to rotate that probably a little bit. So, treat them, and, a couple months later when you treat them again, you might want to switch to a different one so you don't have issues with worms becoming immune to it or any of those kinds of things. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. I personally have never found it necessary to worm my rabbits. I've never done it. So I don't know if that answers your question or not. I hope it does and gives you the information you're looking for. All right, Verna says, Chris, those 3 fall offs was less than a minute, LOL. Oh yeah, in the rabbit breeding video, yeah, it was quick. That's one good thing about that doe. She is pretty aggressive when she has babies in there. It's a little tricky to get in there and mess with them. She grunts and she lunges at you, and she'll take a glove off your hand if you're not careful. But that's not great. When she doesn't have babies, she's easy enough to handle, which is good. And she always lifts right away. Just always, every time. And she's a good mother. She takes care of her babies. So, there's a lot of good for that rabbit. I think she's about done, though. I'm going to be a little sad to get rid of her. But anyway, Jay Moore says, my only rebel canning is bacon. but many do with no problem. Just pork, which you can pressure can. Interesting. Pressure canning bacon. Isn't that why bacon is cured? But again, I guess if you don't have a refrigerator or freezer where you're going, you want to make it shelf stable. Makes sense. All right, James, how are we doing on time here? We're half an hour into it already. Man, time flies. James says, just got quail a couple months ago. Hatched my first batch. Did pretty good. Getting ready to hatch more Saturday. Lock your knowledge on quail. Like your knowledge on quail, I think maybe. Egg and Eye Farm. Interesting name, Egg and Eye Farm. I like that. It's pretty good. Good luck with your hatch. I hope it goes well. Said your first hatch did pretty well. Well, good job. I don't know reason why your second hatch won't go just as well. All right, where are we at here? Ed says, thumbs up, people. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. Stacy says, we canned deer meat last year. We ate every bit of it. The ground you need to brown before canning. I add a teaspoon of better than bouillon to each pint, no liquid. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. A teaspoon of better than bouillon that's good stuff. Interesting. Yeah, I would imagine I've read up on canning meat a little bit. So yeah, that does sound right. You have to brown the hamburger if you're going to grind it. You know, if you're going to have ground meat, it needs to be browned before you can it. No liquid though, huh? That seems interesting. I don't know. All right, Kitten Son says, I just hatched out button quail for my kids. The colors are so nice, but way noisier than my other Coturnix quail. I love my Coturnix. Really? I haven't personally kept button quail, so I didn't realize they were that noisy. Katrina says, cemented some posts yesterday, and Phil finished the second aviary after we fix a rotted fence post this weekend. So you put in post for the aviary, I'm assuming. Sounds like you're making progress on it. Where are we at? Stacy, so nice to have meat ready to eat. Makes sense. I'll be canning our next harvest of rabbits and quail. Yeah, that would be from a convenience standpoint, that would be convenient. You don't have to think ahead and thaw something out. But still, it just seems odd to me. I don't know why. Brady says, I did a 42 egg hatch every 25 days for 4 months with 70% hatch rate. I sell some and eat the rest. Sounds like a good plan. Katrina says, start paying attention when you cook quail. Write it down and take photos. That's what Verna Young and I have been thinking about for a combined cookbook. Well, there you go. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I'll try to remember that kind of stuff. I just cook it all kinds of different ways. I mean, I'll try to be a little bit better about keeping track of it and, putting some of those recipes out for everybody. Feed Yourself with Doug says, sweet Helen, I'm in Chimera and keep 25 quail on my half-acre homestead. If you ever want to swap eggs and get new genetics, let me know. We breed and eat 300 per year. That's a pretty good amount. But that was specific to Helen. Did I miss Helen's comment? I might have. I don't know. I'm sorry if I did. Tracy, good evening. Good evening to you, Tracy. She says good evening to everybody. I assume it's she. Maybe it's he. I don't know. James Dahlheim says Highlander, the quickening, sucked out loud. Yeah, pretty much everything but the very first movie was not very good. The series that they had, it wasn't good. They were all pretty bad, honestly. The first one was good. Other than that, not good. Although Sean Connery was kind of entertaining, but still not a good movie. Bob says, would you ever eat a Balut quail egg? No, I don't think I will ever eat one of those. That's one of the places I kind of draw the line. Says, you ever made them for considered selling them? I could never eat them, but they're supposed to be very popular with Filipino and Vietnamese community. I've thought about doing it. I haven't done it. We have a pretty decent sized Vietnamese community around here. Carthage, Missouri, which is 20-minute, 30-minute drive at the most. From here has almost every Vietnamese person in the country comes here once a year for Marion Days. It's a big Vietnamese festival that goes on there. Great food. If you're ever in town during that time, go down there and check it out because it is good food. But so there is a fairly decent sized Vietnamese community here. And I've thought about, approaching and seeing if they'd be interested in buying, but I just haven't done it yet. Ed says, on Facebook, don't use the word quail or eggs, just use table fare and use a picture of quail eggs. Interesting. Brady says, I ate donkey in Mexico. Really? Never had donkey. I've had goat plenty of times. Kind of like goat. I don't know if I'd be against eating donkey. It's a little bit weird, but who knows? It's probably good. I've always thought, you hear about people like being shipwrecked eating rats and things like that. And I'm like, rat's probably pretty good. I mean, if you can get one big enough to get some meat off, I don't see why it wouldn't be good. Squirrel's good. I like squirrel quite a bit. It's kind of similar, I would think, but who knows? I may be wrong. Jay Moore says, I would only sell to those I know. Wouldn't want strangers knowing my address. Sold stuff on Craigslist before and had a couple things stolen when not looking and not for sale. I've never actually had that problem. I've I've sold things on Craigslist before, had strangers come to my house. I've never had really a problem with anybody coming back and stealing things or any of that kind of stuff. Most of the people that are buying, quail or rabbits or quail eggs or some of the, they're like farm people. They're pretty good, honest people. It's not really a big concern, but it's not bad to be safe and definitely good practices. Rebecca says, Highlander much preferred the TV series over the movies. If you haven't seen them, check it out. Oh, I've seen them. They're not that good to me. I much prefer the first movie, but that's just me. It's, who knows? That was, let's see, Highlander was playing on USA. It was one of the series. There was a couple of them that they did. They did Highlander. They did Xena, Warrior Princess, and what was the other one? Hercules, I think, was on. Those were kind of all their, I don't know, kind of B film. I don't know if you call it B film when it's a TV show, but it's not absolutely terrible. It is better than the other movies for sure, but it's not a great TV show in my opinion. All right, Katrina says, all fresh fruit are different than what you get in the store. The grocery store is also limited to the varieties that ship to the store as well. There's plenty of varieties out there beyond in the store. Yeah, that's true. Some things are drastically different than what you get in the store, and that goes for vegetables too. Tomatoes, you get a tomato out of your garden, it's night and day difference between what you get in the store. Same thing with green beans. Honestly, green beans grown in your garden are so much better than store-bought green beans. But there's other things like corn. Corn's, it's good out of the garden, and it may be better, but it's not that much better than just buying an ear of corn at the grocery store, in my opinion. What are some of the things? Like squash, zucchini, that kind of stuff. It's about the same, honestly, but it's so easy to grow. Why not grow it? Anyway, we're getting off topic, aren't we? Feed Yourself and Doug says, that's dedication, Verna. I've seen a video you did with Katernick's Corner. I don't know what we're talking about with dedication. Oh, you guys are talking to each other. I'm going to let you do that. So, all right. G. Michael Jr. says, donkey, that's interesting. What was it like? Does it resemble any other meat? Verna says, exactly, Katrina. You guys are talking to each other. I'll let you do that. Nikki says, the greatest thing in Mexico was fresh fruit from street vendors. I didn't try donkey, but did try crickets. They were spicy, but actually good. Interesting. I've never eaten crickets. Katrina says, yeah, I'm a member of the California Rare Fruit Growers. So many varieties of fruit out there. Oh, I know. I'm not a huge fruit fan. I don't eat a lot of fruit. But, some of it's good every once in a while. What are we talking about? The best thing I will give you a caution, Nikki, and I'm sure you're right. The fresh fruit from the street vendors is probably really, really good. But that is one of the things when you go to a foreign country. Mexico is probably not as bad as some of the other ones, but depending on what parts of Mexico you go to. But you go to a foreign country and, you don't want to, usually you want to stay away from fresh fruits and things like that if you're worried about, getting any kind of dysentery, from, bacteria and stuff like that, because that stuff's not cooked. It's rinsed with water and, your immune system's not acclimated to the bacteria and stuff there. So that is one of the things you generally want to stay away from when you're in a foreign country. But anyway, Rose says, deworming quail, are they prone to worms? What kind of worms? No, they're not. It's pretty much the same advice for quail. Is I don't think it's necessary to worm the quail unless they get worms. And mine have never gotten worms, so I don't find it a big issue. I never worm my quail. But it's pretty much the same thing I just gave for rabbits goes for quail. If you feel like you need to, go to a farm supply store. If you think they might have worms, go get a sample checked out at the vet or something like that. G. Michael says, I've tried crickets in Mexico. I could eat it if I had to, but not a regular treat. Yeah. Make It Make says, hello, love your channel. My quail are 10 weeks old and have not laid one egg yet. I'm thinking it's because of the light. You're probably right. Says, I have now added light and wonder how long it will take them to lay. Probably about 2 weeks, something like that. They should start picking back up. You're probably absolutely right. I mean, the light is the biggest issue. It's that time of year. The days are getting shorter. Mine have shut down. I don't have the lights on them right now. I get one egg maybe a day, sometimes two, out of the younger hutch, the bird with the hutch with the younger birds in it. But other than that, they pretty much stopped laying. And I'll kick the lights back on and get them laying again here soon. But right now, I'm just not worried about it. I got enough eggs on hand. Let me get a drink. I've got to fix this microphone to where it picks up a little better so I don't have to yell the whole time I'm on here. All right. Jay Moore says, tapeworm looks like grains of rice. Don't know if a cat had tapeworm and threw it up or the Spanish rice a couple ate. So treat them for tapeworm just in case. What? Okay. I'm trying to process that. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but treat them for worms just in case. You know, I do have to give my dog, I don't have a cat. I do give my dog a dewormer every month. He gets a wormer because if I don't, he does get worms. And it's a bigger issue for him than it is for, the rabbits or the quail. But the rabbits and the quail aren't in contact with the ground. They're up in cages. So there's almost no risk of them getting worms. Elizabeth says, just got a rabbit in a hutch and the hutch is full of roaches. Will they kill the rabbit? I seriously doubt they'll kill the rabbit. Are you sure they're roaches and they're not like water bugs or things like that? But maybe they are. No, you shouldn't have any problems with that. If it was me and you were worried about them, you want to get rid of them, I'd just put out some glue traps, put them up where the rabbits can't get to them, and nothing else can get to them because you don't want your dog or cat or whatever getting in the glue trap, but that'll catch them easily. Shouldn't be a big issue. Cindy says, question, how many square foot is needed for each rabbit cage for your doe and your buck breeders? Also, how many grow outs can you keep per how many square foot? Boy, that's a good question. I don't have it figured out by square foot. My cages are all 36 inches by 30 inches by 24 inches high. You want it high enough to where they can completely stand up on their back feet if they need to. So that's the 24 inches high. 36 by 30 is the other dimensions that I use on the cages. And I use that for my does, my buck, the grow outs, and I can fit, it depends on how slow your grow out rate is. I can fit a whole litter of like 10 baby rabbits in a 36 by 30 cage and grow them out to 8 weeks in there. If they're growing out to 5 pounds by 8 weeks, they're growing pretty fast and it starts to get pretty crowded the last like week and a half or so, or 2 weeks, but it's only a week and a half or 2 weeks. So it's not that big of a deal. Now, my current rabbit, those babies grow out a little bit slower. So I tend to split them up into groups of 5, but I can grow those out to 12 weeks. No problem. Up to 5 pounds, 5 per cage. And it's not a big issue. It's not super crowded in there. Hopefully that answers it for you. Let's see. Jennifer says, James, thank you. I have 68 going in the incubator tomorrow. They will be split between the brooder box and I have one 10 by 10 plate for each. Yeah. Thank you for getting that information for us, James. I always kind of have to guess at that. And it's always good to have somebody else confirm it for me. Nathaniel says, is it okay when a female rabbit is pregnant, but there is a male inside his cage? Is it okay? Inside his cage or inside the female rabbit's cage? If you have a male inside the female's rabbit cage with the rabbit, you shouldn't do that. You should separate them, whether that rabbit is pregnant or not. You shouldn't just leave them together all the time, especially if she's pregnant. You should remove him from the cage. He's going to want to just breed her nonstop, and that's just not good for her. She could get grumpy because she's pregnant. She may not want him to. She could end up castrating him. She could get pretty territorial and be pretty aggressive with him. So you should keep them separate at all times, regardless of whether she's pregnant or not, but especially when she's pregnant. All right, Katrina says bacon. That's what they said. Oh, that's why they said rebel canning means that either it has been deemed not safe to can or that the testing has not yet happened to determine whether it is safe to can or not. Yeah, I figured that out, actually. Seems like I did read something about don't know if it's been tested or not. There's no proven safe recipes for canning bacon, but, I don't know. Maybe it works. Jay Moore says, not supposed to use better than bullion. Guess it has flour in it. Saw it on Sutton's Days canning channel. Interesting. I didn't know that. I'd have to look that up. It sounds good, but I didn't know you weren't supposed to use it in canning. Make It Make says, canning meat is awesome. It's so tender. Maybe I'll have to try it. Try to get over my weirdness about it. Blue Farm says, hello from Washington. We are new to your channel. Well, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. And thanks for hitting us up on the live broadcast. It's always great to get to spend some time with you guys here. How are we doing on time, by the way? 15 minutes left. Katrina says, a question about canning meat. Lock up raw pack versus hot pack. Raw pack does not require you to add liquid. Hot pack does. Okay. Interesting. Nathaniel says, hey, can you give away rabbits when you reach 50,000 subs? Well, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? I mean, let me check something, because last time I checked, I was at like 70 some odd thousand subscribers. But no, I don't think I can give away. Where are we at here? Hang on a second. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time. I don't think I can give away rabbits. I mean, I only have 2 rabbits right now. And there, that's what I wanted to see right there. Yeah, 77,000 subscribers right now. So, yeah, when I hit 50,000, that was a couple of years ago, actually. But anyway, no, I can't give away rabbits. I only have 2. I mean, I don't, and not only that, but I mean, there's people all over the world that watch this channel. There's no way for me to get rabbits to them. It would have to be somebody kind of local that could come and pick it up or something like that. And that just wouldn't be fair to everybody. So I don't think I can give away rabbits. I have given away quail eggs before. Let's see. But no, I can't give away rabbits. Now, if you live close to me and you want a couple of old rabbits that are about to age out, I may be getting rid of a couple of them here pretty soon. And I'll give them to you for free, but they're old. And they may not be worth it if you're looking for good meat rabbits. Make It Make says, oh, Facebook, you can also say quail nuggets, LOL. Okay, there you go. There's a way to get around it, huh? Verna says, Chris, my pansy fees were quiet in the brooder, but these, I don't know how to pronounce that. Is that growl fees or noisy little buggers? Yeah, I don't know the difference between them, honestly. I don't get into all the different colors. I saw Zach had posted a video on the growl fee or whatever it is. I need to watch that and learn about them a little bit, but I haven't done it yet. Nathaniel says maybe he can give away at 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, if we get to 100,000, I'll figure out some kind of giveaway to do. It won't be rabbits probably, because that's just nearly impossible to do and very, very difficult. But who knows? Maybe we'll give away an incubator or something. I mean, we'll figure something out. All right. Nathaniel says, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what? I don't know. Ed Got Bait says, loved Xena. Did you see that she is she's got a new show coming out? What's her name? Lucy Lawless, that played Xena. She's got a new show coming out. I don't know what the show's called, but she plays like a cop or something in it. Honestly, I thought she was older than that by now, but she didn't look that old. Nathaniel says, I don't know how to breed rabbit. I'm just new. Oh, well, yeah, I've got lots of videos on how to breed rabbits. In fact, you watched my video I posted last week. I mean, that was it. You take big things to know about breeding rabbits. Don't ever take the buck to the doe. It's always take the doe to the buck. And you can just kind of watch. You just put the doe in with the buck. He's going to do some kind of, if you've never seen it, it's kind of comical the first time. He's going to mount like you would expect him to, and then he's going to fall over. When he falls over, that means it's been a successful breeding. I always try to get like 2 or 3, and usually that happens pretty quick. And then put the doe back in her cage, wait 30 days, put a nest box in at about day 27. And you know, that's it. That's all there is to it. But I do have lots of videos on breeding rabbits, and I've actually just bred my rabbits. So keep watching. We'll have some videos coming up about when it's time to put the nest box in and all those kinds of things. Verna says, rabbit is better farmed than it is in the stores. I don't like grocery store rabbit. I don't think I've ever had rabbit from a grocery store, but I can imagine it would be better in the farm than it would be from the store. It's honestly better. Wild rabbit, I think, is actually better than farmed rabbit. But, I mean, it's got a little more flavor to it. It's a little gamier. And I like that. But still, anyway. Brady says, corn is all about good genetics. Okay. Oh, well, you were talking about when I said corn's not that much different than what you buy in the grocery stores. You know, maybe, I mean, there may be something to that. I'm sure that, you know, the corn you grow in your backyard is probably significantly better than some corn you buy in grocery stores. But corn's one of those things that, I mean, it's grown, it's subsidized. I mean, it's grown everywhere, all over the place. So I think it's probably, I just haven't noticed a big difference between, like, I go to the store and buy ears of corn. It probably came from a local farm somewhere that grows the same kind of corn I grow in the backyard. I don't know, honestly. Nathaniel says, my pear rabbit is already past 6 months, and I don't know if they're already mated because they're just in one cage. Well, that's tricky. Chances are if they're past 6 months, they are already bred. Now, were they bred 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago? Who knows? Here's what I would do. I would take the male out of the cage, put him in his own cage, and then I'd go in there about every day for a week or two or a couple of weeks. Every day, every other day is fine. Take a handful of straw, just a small handful, and throw it in there. If the doe picks it all up, gathers it all up, and starts walking around the cage with it hanging out both sides of her mouth, it's going to be pretty obvious. She's not going to be just sitting there nibbling on it. She's going to gather it all up and pick it up and walk around, like I said, hanging out both sides of her mouth. You'll know it when you see it. If she does that, it's almost a guarantee that she's pregnant. Get a nest box ready, put it in there. Do that for, every other day for a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And if she's not picking it up, gathering it up, walking around with it after that, she's not pregnant, go ahead and take her to the buck, try to breed her at that point and just see how it goes. Hopefully that helps. Berna says, Chris, I raised my quail in a 1-bedroom apartment. I knew that. Yeah, and you've got a brand new Winona Ranch cage to put them in too. S. McKee says, with Craigslist, our local police said to meet the buyer in front of the police station. Man, that sounds like you live in a pretty rough area. I think I would look at moving if it was me. But I've never had that problem with anybody I met on Craigslist. But I live in, like I said, I live in Joplin, Missouri. I mean, I live in small town southwest Missouri. It's not, there's crime that happens here and there's all that, but it's not huge crime area. We do have our fair share of people trying to break into cars or those kinds of things, but it's not as bad as some other areas. So I don't worry about it. Not only that, but if I'm selling, like I said, farm related stuff, most of those people are farm people. They're not criminals, they're not going on Craigslist looking up where to buy farm animals so they can case out your house. I mean, it's a little bit different, but who knows? And Nathaniel says, how do I cut the rabbit's nails? With a clipper of some kind, about the same kind you would use on a dog's toenails. I don't cut my rabbit's nails. I've never found it necessary to do. If you feel like you need to, the easiest way to do it is probably going to be, if you've got wire cage floors, when they stand on it, their nails will kind of stick down below it. You can just snip the ends of them off probably. It may be a little tricky to get them to hold still for it, but that would probably be the easiest way to do it. Other than that, I would wrap them up in a towel probably, keep them from, keep them kind of contained, keep them from, thrashing around and hurting themselves, and then try to hold a foot, while you clip the nail. I think it's going to be kind of tricky to do, but who knows? Jay Moore says, I bet there's a ton of extra cleaning raising quail in an apartment. Yeah, I can imagine. Rose says, I just dug all our potatoes today. Did you grow potatoes, Chris? Yeah, I did, but we harvested them like a couple of months ago. They were ready for harvest. Brady says, donkey was tough, but the taste was fine. I'd pass on it the next time it was presented to me. Well, that could be how it was prepared or how it was processed, butchered, because there's a lot of that goes into it that makes meat tough or not tough. Yeah, Nathan, you can use a nail. I wouldn't use one like you use for yourself. Get one that's specifically made for trimming animal nails, probably like dog clippers. Something like that's going to be a little bit better. And go easy on it. Don't try to cut it all the way back to the foot. I mean, just take the ends of it off because there's still blood flow in those nails. You don't want to cut them back too far. If you've never cut an animal's, like a dog's toenails, it's the same thing. You're going to look for where the quick is and don't cut past the quick. Where are we at here? Nathan says, my dad say me he will never make a new cage for 2 of them, 2 pair and 2 cages. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. My dad say me he will make a new cage for 2 of them, 2 pair and 2 cages. Are you saying your dad's going to make a new cage and you're going to get new rabbit? You're going to have 2 pairs of rabbits in 2 cages? you probably don't really want to do that. I would be better off just sticking with one pair of rabbits, one cage for each rabbit. You could possibly house your does together and your bucks together, but you don't really need to have more than one buck for two does. And there is a chance that your does might get a little bit grumpy with each other and start fighting over territory, depending on how big your cages are. But best practice is probably to keep them in separate cages if you have that ability to do it. And I would go with just the two rabbits. I wouldn't get any more until you have more cage space. Rose says, do you think I would have black soldier fly in Ontario? I have no idea. I don't know. Good question. I get black soldier fly here every summer. For the most part, they come in and they usually my quail, sometimes my rabbit manure as well. And man, they're great. I mean, they are composting machines. They keep that stuff under control, and they keep the fly populations down too. But I don't know what their range is. I don't know anything about them, and from the temperature standpoints, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if they're in Ontario, Canada or not. Let's look them up real quick. Let's find out. Black soldier fly, Ontario. That's about like where you can buy them. Yeah, this is all about like where you can buy them. Let's see. Oh, apparently they're an invasive species. That's a whole long thing. I'm not going to read it all right now. So maybe they are. I don't know. You'll have to look it up and find out. I'm sorry. Nikki says, yes, you're correct about the street vendors in other countries. We were practically living there for 2 years. Okay, well, that makes sense. It says not a tourist area. Honestly, I had no stomach problems while we were there, but constantly do here. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how that works? I don't really have stomach problems ever. I mean, occasionally, like a couple of times a year I get stomach problems, but it's pretty rare. And when I was in Dominican Republic, I was eating fresh fruit. Even though I don't like fruit too much, it was different kinds of fruit to try. And I'd never had it, so I got to try it, right? New stuff, and I got to try their local foods and all that kind of stuff just to experience it. I never had any kind of problems, but that's what they tell you. All right, Brady says, have a good night, everyone. God bless America and your part of the world. Love spreads faster than hate. I wish that were true. It should indeed. I agree with you, Brady. So thank you, and you have a good night too. Darren says, Darren here from Belize. When you come to Belize again, we got to meet up. Yeah, if I ever make it to Belize again, I loved Belize. It was great. I was there for like 6 hours or something. I was on a cruise, and that was one of our stops. And I thought it was great. I'd like to go down there and spend some time there. Let's see. Katrina says, my male rabbit took a while to get going the first time after the doe was done running around. Didn't always try the correct end. Yeah, that's pretty common. So he was more on his game with the second doe the next day. Yeah, that is pretty common. The bucks are usually super eager. The does aren't always. And they'll run around, and he'll chase them around, try to catch them. It takes a little while, but they usually get the hang of it pretty quick. Verna says, wild rabbit and squirrel are the bomb. Yeah, I like both of them. Whiskey Tango Farms does too. He agrees with you, or they agree with you. Rose says, never tried squirrel. Well, it is good. I do like it. Whiskey Tango Farms says, I hunted and ate a lot of squirrels when I was in my teens. Heck, I hunt and eat a lot of squirrel now. Actually, haven't eaten a lot of squirrel in the past couple of years, but it's pretty common for my family anyway. I wouldn't say around here. It's not like everybody does that. Some people think it's weird. But yeah, it's pretty not that uncommon. Squirrel season runs pretty much all year long. It runs from like late May 23rd, something like that, all the way through like January 15th, maybe something like that. I think maybe it's the end of January. It's only closed for like February, March, and April, so they can have their babies, and then the rest of the season it's open. So it's and I like squirrel hunting. It's fun. It's probably one of my favorite types of hunting. It's a little bit more fast paced than like deer hunting or something like that. Anyway, and I do believe if you're going to hunt them, you should eat them. So That is, I like squirrel anyway. Anyway, Rose says black squirrels or red. Mostly around here we have red and gray squirrel. Fox squirrels and gray squirrels is what we have. We have some black squirrels, but they're pretty rare, so it's not a common thing. Yep. Cat clippers are smaller. That's a tip from Jay Moore. All right, we are just right out of time. We got to. I'm just scanning to see if there's anything in here. Rose says, Whiskey Tingle Farms, you stopped giggling. Says, I'm not sure if Kristen has or not. We definitely had a good time last night. Was that, so is that, I saw your live broadcast. I can't remember her name who was on there. Kirsten or Kristen? No, Kristen is, it's not, who, I can't remember who the name of the person that was on there. I remember meeting her at QuailCon. I can't ever remember her name. But is that who Ro is? Is that what you're talking about maybe? Who knows? Oh, look at that. You used to have freezers here. I remember meeting you at QuailCon too. It's Yusuf, though, isn't it? Not Yusef. Nice. All right, guys. I got to wrap this one up. I got to get out of here. Kelly Connect. There you go. Thank you, Verna. Appreciate it. I knew it was a K. I just could not get it right. Yeah, well, anyway, I remembered meeting her at QuailCon. Saw part of your live broadcast. I didn't get a chance to join it live. I had to watch part of it after the fact, and it was kind of rushed, so I didn't get a chance to watch all of it whenever I was watching it, but I did watch part of it. So anyway, yeah, you guys all have a great night too, and I think if everything goes well, I should be on Whiskey Tango Farms channel next week. Hopefully I can announce that. I don't know that it's been officially announced, but we've discussed it. I was going to do it this week, but I had too much going on, so I pushed it off till next week. So next Wednesday night, I'm planning on trying to join their live broadcast, being a guest on their live broadcast. Thank you for the super chat there, Yusuf. I appreciate that. And anyway, I plan on being a guest on their live broadcast next Wednesday night. I can't remember what time you said, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Anyway, we'll get more details out about that. But thanks for watching tonight, guys. I got to wrap this one up. Hopefully everybody has a good night tonight. Thank you for joining. We will see you guys next week and hopefully on Whiskey Tango Farms live broadcast next week as well. So see you guys there. As always, God bless. Good night.